Hey, pause YouTube, 6ftHax here. Have for you guys today one super stressful battle. Oh my god. If you guys just want to know exactly what I mean, watch the entire battle, because even though this was like almost a 50-turn game, it was a really solid match. So if y'all do stick around for the whole thing and you do enjoy it, make sure to hammer that like button down below. Let me know what your guys' like most stressful battle that you've ever had was in the comment section below, because I'm pretty sure this may like rank up there with some of them. So this match was against C.L.Luna off of my Discord. I don't think she's got a YouTube or a Twitter, so I don't know. I mean, if she does, I guess I'll link it down below and she can let me know when this goes up. But going into this game, Mega Charizard and C.L.Luna were the two biggest issues I thought that I had to deal with. Charizard behind the sub is absolutely terrifying, and C.L.Luna, depending on if it's bulky or a sweeper set, could be really annoying to deal with either way. So I'm going to be leading off with my Mew, as she's going to be leading off with her Alolan Muk. Actually, this is a CTC team. For those of you who follow Joey, you guys should know who CTC is, and this is one of his teams, and that I really wanted to use. So turn one, she does predict me to go for the Will-O-Wisp. I'm thinking, okay, there's not really too much that Tapu Fini can do to my Tangrowth here, as she makes a really good double switch in turn two, predicting me to bring in Tangrowth. She's going to double out into the Alolan Muk, and I'm expecting her to maybe want to go straight for the knockoff, but she actually ends up making a more aggressive play by going for the poison jab, which luckily she does not get the poison on me, which is going to be absolutely amazing, as I'm able to get rid of her Assault Vest. This is going to be really good for my Charizard Y in the back, as she makes another really solid play here. Knows I'm going to switch out, so she's going to be able to pursuit trap me as I bring in my Magearna. I thought about switching in my Magearna on the poison jab, but I didn't want to lose my leftovers because this is a dual setup Magearna, which is actually really cool. So I want to see what her initial switch in is going to be for my Magearna, as it does turn out to be this Porygon 2. It looks like she's more of a Spadef bulky set, because that Ice Beam did practically 0, and as we all know, Porygon 2 with an Eviolite is stupidly bulky. So expecting her to either want to go for a Discharge, Thunderbolt, or a Thunder Wave, I do switch directly into my Tapu Koko. The good thing about this is that I'm going to be able to taunt this Porygon 2, preventing it from being able to potentially go for Toxics or more Thunder Waves, or as you can see there, go for the Recover. So after the taunt, I am in a good position to potentially beat this Porygon 2 1v1, but because I switch out into either the Landorus or the Muk, expecting me to go for an electric type stab move is very obvious. I'm actually going to go for the U-turn directly into my Charizard Y, and if you guys remember her team, with this Muk losing its Assault Vest and Porygon 2 not being a switch in to Megazard Y in the sun, I'm about to just incinerate something with Fire Blast. So I can basically Mega for free here, and she essentially has to pick a Death Fodder, because not even Tapu Fini is going to be safely switching into a Fire Blast in the sun, as I'm able to just annihilate this Muk. And this is why getting rid of that Assault Vest so early on in the game was a huge plus to me, because now I'm up 6-5 as in comes the Alakazam. I could easily knock out this Alakazam with one hit, but I don't want to risk her potentially having like Thunder Wave or HP Rock or something along those lines, because she brought it in very aggressively. So I expected her to either have one of those two moves, and Mew being a very bulky set definitely covers her going for either of those two moves, because I can also synchronize over the potential paralysis, but she does just end up going for the safe side shock, which I guess in hindsight I maybe could have just left in Charizard Y to just go for the Fire Blast and pick up another KO, but again, Mew was by far just my safest play, especially if she did have the T-Wave or the potential Hidden Power Rock. So knowing that this Alakazam can do absolutely nothing to me, I believe I do end up pulling a double switch here into my Magearna, because her Tapu Fini is easily the best switch in to my Mew now that she has lost her Muk. So the good thing about Magearna being in against the Tapu Fini is that I could potentially have a Thunderbolt or the Electrium Z with Thunderbolt. So expecting her to try and switch back into the Porygon 2, I'm going to pull another double switch into my Tapu Koko, expecting the Porygon 2 to come back in, because as I mentioned earlier, I now know that the Porygon 2 is her initial switch in to my Magearna, and I can use that information to my advantage. So while the taunt here is very obvious, I am going to actually make an aggressive play and go for the Wild Charge. I was pretty close to going for the taunt, but there was a good chance that she was just going to go for the potential Ice Beam or just aggressive play, expecting me to go for taunt. And this turn, because I did go for the Wild Charge before, she could expect me to go for the taunt this turn, so I'm going to predict her to switch out into the Landorus, and I'm actually going to go ahead and go for the U-turn, as I'm able to pivot out of that Landorus. It turns out that she does not have the Rocky helmet, which is some good information for me because this could most likely be a Z move offensive stealth rocking set. So Mew being at close to full HP should be able to live any potential Z move that this Landorus wants to go for, and I do have the Ice Beam. I am not going to mess around with this thing. I don't want this to rock polish or sword Zance or just get up rocks for free. If she gets up rocks, I'm going to annihilate this thing with the Ice Beam. So she does actually end up making the smart play and going for the U-turn directly on out into her Tapu Fini, expecting me to just go for the Ice Beam or even potentially go for the Will-O-Wisp again. And because my Mew is at low HP, I need to go for the soft bolt here. Plus, there's a chance that she could expect me to try and switch directly back into my Magearna or even try to bring in my Tapu Koko. And funny enough, that's actually what happened. She's going to switch directly into her Landorus, probably expecting me to bring in my Magearna, seeing as I brought that in earlier against the Tapu Fini. Or I switched it in expecting it to come in. But having Mew at full HP is absolutely amazing for me in this match because it's pretty obvious that she can't really deal with this Mew. As she goes for the knockoff, that actually does entirely too much damage. Like, I did not expect that to do just 50% to me. Actually, no, it did like 52% to me. But I am able to Ice Beam and get rid of the Landorus, which means I get rid of her Stealth Rocker, which also means my Charizard Y is just free to come in, click Fire Blast as much as it pleases. So in comes the Celesteela. I don't know if this is offensive or bulky, so I'm gonna go for the Will-O-Wisp just to be able to start racking up that burn damage. And if you're wondering why I was able to burn Celesteela in misty terrain, it's because it's a flying type. It's not touching the ground. So if a Pokemon is levitating or not touching the ground, they're not affected by the terrain. So that's really good for me because now I'm going to be able to wear down this, what turns out to be offensive Celesteela. And because it is offensive Celesteela, there's a chance that she could have the Z move because I don't see Life Orb, I don't see Leftovers, and she doesn't have the Lumberry. But unless she wants to potentially waste it, as I may switch out here, she's not going to feel comfortable in going for it right away, as she does end up missing an Air Slash there. That does kind of suck, but I most likely would have stayed in the following turn again, just to soft bowl back up. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys, I really misplay around this Celesteela. I switched into my Garchomp here, originally wanting to just sack it off, because I thought that she was going to be able to easily 2A KO me with the combination of Flash Cannon and Air Slash. So I'm going to get up my rocks. For some reason, this team has Scarf Garchomp with Stealth Rock, so I'm locked into Stealth Rocks here. But because I was able to live her next hit, I'm actually going to decide to save my Garchomp because I may have some use for it later in the battle to just sack off to the Alakazam so I can get a free switch back into my Mew. So I'm able to chew up the Flash Cannon pretty easily, and I will be able to live any other move that she does want to go for, considering that this Celesteela can't really knock me out unless it does have a potential Z move. So soft boiling here was definitely my play. As long as she doesn't get Spadef drops or flinches or crits me, then we should be in a pretty solid situation here, as I will be able to live any other hit that she wants to go for. I really thought that she was going to go for the Air Slash here, and that was honestly just really bad thinking on my part because I make a huge misplay by going for the Ice Beam. Soft bowling again was by far the best play I could have done and the best play I should have done, because now I'm in range of where a Flash Cannon can knock me out, or as you can see here, any Z move she has can knock me out. And things aren't entirely too bad because as long as she doesn't get a flinch on my Charizard Y, we should still be in business and we can hopefully still pull out the victory. So she does get a special attack boost. She has a +2 speed, but it's fine because at this point I know she doesn't have something like HP Rock or Stone. Actually, no, does Celesteela learn Stone Edge? I don't think I learned Stone Edge. But either way, Charizard Y can come in here. I can easily live one Air Slash. As long as she doesn't flinch me, I'm going to be able to just roast this thing in the sun with the Fire Blast. So I'm able to take the Air Slash, but I fucking miss my Fire Blast, and that miss is actually really annoying because I still need Charizard. I need Charizard to win this battle, to beat down Porygon 2 and beat down Tapu Fini. So I essentially need to pick a Death Fodder at this point. And with this Celesteela being at +2 speed, I don't really have use for my Tapu Koko, and all I need to do right now is just rack up a couple more turns of burn damage to ensure that I have this C.L.Luna in range of where my Scarf Garchomp can come in and knock it out with the Outrage or the potential Dragon Claw. But I really don't want to risk getting like an absolute minimum roll on Dragon Claw, so I have to bring in Guillermo here, which is having some identity crisis because he's a female. Now actually, I guess I really shouldn't assume his or her gender, I guess, but thankfully, much like in P4G Week 2, Garchomp just absolutely saves me from a Steel type, and I'm able to get rid of the C.L.Luna. Obviously, I am locked into Outrage now, so she does get a free switch into the Tapu Fini. She's not going to go for the Defog. I'm not sure why. I guess defogging really wouldn't have mattered too much. Plus, there's a chance I could have just got the 2-turn Outrage, and then I could have switched out and saved Garchomp. But at this point, I really don't have use for Garchomp. Yeah, it would be nice to outspeed the Alakazam, but I don't beat Tapu Fini, and I don't beat Porygon 2 either, so I'm just going to sack it off here, or just leave it in basically. That's why I went for the Dragon Claw. It also ensured the KO on C.L.Luna at the amount of HP that it was at, as I can bring back in my Charizard Y. I basically have to go for the Roost here. I really don't want to risk her having Hydro Pump and then critting me, knowing how my luck has been going in this battle. Plus, Solar Beam doesn't knock her out if she's running a lot of HP and a lot of SPDF investment. So Roosting here was by far my best play. I can save Charizard, I can still chew a hit from the Alakazam, and I can easily take out this Porygon 2 with Fire Blast. You know, if I just bloody hit a Fire Blast, I'm about to take my Charizard to the mountains and train it and threaten it with rocks, because that's the only way apparently I can get it to hit a Fire Blast. So those 2 Fire Blast misses have really put me on the back foot in this battle, and this Porygon 2 in theory along with Tapu Fini and Alakazam can easily just beat my Charizard Y, Tangrowth, and potentially my Magearna. So I'm going to switch directly into my Tangrowth as she tried to go for the Thunder Wave. Obviously Tangrowth is not affected because I am touching the ground and the Misty Surge is still up, as I'm able to finally get rid of this Porygon 2's Eviolite. I'm going to switch out here because I need to get my Tangrowth back up to a solid amount of HP, because if it comes down to it, in theory Tangrowth could 1v1 Porygon 2 and 1v1 the Tapu Fini. So I'm going to switch into my Magearna, thinking that she would just go for the Ice Beam, but she ends up going for the Recover. This gives me a free switch back into my Tangrowth here, because her best play to go for is definitely the Thunder Wave. Magearna being paralyzed could be a little bit annoying, and she does want to paralyze whatever I may potentially want to switch into. As I do bring back in my Tangrowth, I'm going to switch back out here, gain back more HP, and I believe at this point I was like at 98%-ish HP if I'm not mistaken, so I can easily live any hit from Alakazam still, and again potentially 1v1 this Porygon 2 and the Tapu Fini. As I bring in my Magearna, this is where it kind of dawned on me that I could potentially win this game with just Magearna, because this is a Calm Mind Shift Gear set. So first off, I need to start boosting my special attack and my special defense so I can be outside of range of where the Alakazam could potentially knock out my Magearna. As she tries to go for the Ice Beam, thinking I would switch into my Tangrowth. Calm Minding there, again, was definitely my best play, as I'm going to go for the Ice Beam, just scouting out to see how much damage it would do. Does about a solid 30-ish% as she does go for the Thunder Wave here. This T-Wave could prove to be a little bit annoying if I get paralyzed too many times, and this is where me not switching in Magearna on the potential knockoff from the Muck on turn 2 or 3 really helps me out, because I'm able to keep my leftovers, making it a lot easier for me to beat this Porygon 2 1v1 and potentially the rest of her team. As she gets a SPDF drop with the Shadow Ball, that's going to be a reoccurring factor, as you guys are going to see. So I'm able to get up to +2 special attack and now +1 special defense. I can easily go for another Calm Mind, or I can be aggressive and go for a Thunderbolt on the off chance that she does end up switching into her Tapu Fini here. Also, Thunderbolt did still cover, getting off a decent amount of damage on the Porygon 2, but the fact that Tapu Fini came in here makes it so much better for me, and I was so terrified that I was going to get fully paralyzed, but Magearna is well trained, unlike my damn Charizard Y, and I'm able to not only knock out the Tapu Fini but crit it as it comes in. That is perfectly justified in my opinion. Also, there was a chance I probably would have been able to live any hit that she went for the next turn and still knocked her out with the Thunderbolt, so I don't know if that crit might have actually been game changing in the long run, but I missed 2 pretty important Fire Blasts earlier in this match. As in comes the Alakazam, there's nothing that the Zam can do to knock me out in any 2 potential hits, you know, unless she gets a second SPDF drop, and now I believe I'm back down to neutral special defense, but I believe I'm at +3 special attack, and I still just barely fail to knock out the Alakazam because this is more of a bulky setup Magearna, as she's going to go for the 3rd Shadow Ball. She finally doesn't get a special defense drop, and I'm able to knock out the Alakazam. At this point, her last Pokemon is that Porygon 2, which, unless I get really unlucky with paralysis and more special defense drops, Porygon 2 should not be able to beat the combination of Tangrowth and Charizard Y plus a +4 Magearna here. So she does end up bringing in the Porygon 2 here, and obviously will trace my Soul Heart. Actually, the fact that she traced my Soul Heart is a little bit terrifying, because if this does take out my Magearna, I then have to deal with a still bulky-ish but now +1 special attack Porygon 2. So I do decide to go for another Calm Mind because I want to try and boost my special defense so she's doing less damage to me, and I can make it a lot easier for me to knock out this Porygon 2 if it really comes down to it, as she's going to go for the Shadow Ball here again for the 4th time. For the 3rd time, she actually goes and gets a Spadef drop. She used it the 4th time, got a Spadef drop the 3rd time, but it's not going to matter because after shift gearing here, even though I am paralyzed, I can nullify the speed drop from the paralysis, and now I will be able to outspeed the Porygon 2 the following turn, and I should be able to knock this out in 2 hits unless I end up getting fully paralyzed. So I go for the Ice Beam, does well over 50%, and she's going to go for one final Shadow Ball and does not get the Spadef drop. So again, as long as I don't get fully paralyzed here, I'm going to be able to knock out Porygon 2 with this Ice Beam, and thankfully Magearna, being the absolute monster that it is, was able to put the team on her back at the end and pull us out the victory. So good game to Luna there, man. This game was just so stressful, guys. So stressful. Those early game doubles that she made were really good plays on her part, but then the 2 Fire Blast misses, and then all those Spadef drops, and then potentially being paralyzed because of Thunder Wave, man. Just, oh, I hate Pokemon sometimes, but we're able to pull out the win. So yeah, guys, let me know what has been your most stressful game of Pokemon, because I'm actually pretty interested to hear what they are after I just played this game. So yeah, if you guys did enjoy the very lengthy battle, make sure to hammer that like button down below, and I will see you all tomorrow, 4th of July, I guess just Tuesday for those of you who are not in the Americas. But yeah, guys, thank you all for watching. Later, everybody.
Cause my brain and heart are both tied in a knot, and this hinders me from crying a lot. This causing me to show no emotion, but when I said I cared, I wasn't joking. But I guess it's too late for me to become broken. For now, I'm living with no more pain, tears, or hoping. I'm just coasting. Yeah, I said I'm coasting. No more pain, tears, and hoping. For real.